So, when you think about securing your advanced AI systems, what comes to mind? Probably complex firewalls, encrypted data, all that high-tech stuff, right? But what if the biggest security risk isn't in the code at all? What if it's already inside the building? Today, we're going to talk about why your people are your first and most critical line of defense.
All right, before we jump in, just a quick heads up. Everything we're covering in this explainer comes directly from Chapter 7 of a tutorial by Virtualization Options LLC.
Okay, let's kick things off with a really important question. Think about all the potential threats to your company's AI. You've got hackers, data breaches, all of it. So, what do you think is the single biggest security risk you face? The answer might surprise you. It's not some shadowy hacker in a dark room. Nope. More often than not, the weakest link, well, it's already on your payroll. It's the human element. And that brings us right to the heart of the matter, the human security factor. It's one of the most critical and honestly one of the most overlooked parts of securing AI. Your people, they are the new frontier. So what do we actually mean by human factors? Well, it's basically every single decision, every little interaction your employees have with your AI systems. And this isn't about pointing fingers or placing blame. It's about realizing that everyone, from the CEO down to the newest intern, has a direct impact on your security.
And since everyone plays a different role, it makes sense that a generic one-size-fits-all training program just isn't going to cut it. To be truly effective, AI security training has to be tailored. It has to speak to the specific ways different teams are using these incredibly powerful tools.
Let's start at the very top, the executive leadership. Their training needs to be all about strategy. Look, they're not writing code, but they are setting the direction and signing the checks. They need to get the big picture on AI risks, understand the responsibilities for governance, and know where to invest to keep the company safe. All right, now for the builders, your technical staff. These are the folks who are actually coding, deploying, and maintaining the AI systems. They need deep hands-on training. We're talking secure coding habits, how to think like an attacker through threat modeling, and exactly what to do when something goes wrong. Then you have your business users. And let's be real, this is probably the biggest group of people in the company. For them, it's all about practical, day-to-day use. How do you use these new AI tools safely? How do you handle sensitive data? And maybe most importantly, how do you spot something that looks off and report it? And finally, we get to the core, the data scientists. Their training has to be highly specialized. It needs to cover really specific stuff, like techniques for preserving privacy, how to find and fix bias in the models, and how to test their creations against those adversarial attacks we hear so much about. But here's the thing. Even with the absolute best, most perfectly tailored training for every role, that's not enough on its own. The real endgame here is to move beyond a single training session and build a genuine security culture, something that's just part of your company's DNA. And I love this quote because it really nails it. A strong security culture isn't a program. It's a living, breathing thing. It's built on leaders who walk the walk, coworkers who encourage each other, and real incentives that make it clear that security-conscious behavior is valued. So how do you actually build that? Well, the source material breaks it down into these 5 pillars. It all starts with clear communication. That leads to active engagement from your team. You then reinforce that with recognition for doing the right thing. You prove it's all working through measurement, and you keep the whole thing alive with continuous improvement. It's a cycle, not a one-time checklist. Let's zoom in on that 4th pillar, measurement. Because if you can't measure it, how do you know it's working? How do you prove to leadership that this investment in your people is actually paying off? You have to track the right data. And this chart, wow, it just tells the story perfectly. You can see right here that knowledge scores shoot up right after training. That's a huge win. But look closely at that little dip 3 months later. That's so important. It tells you that reinforcement is absolutely key. A one-and-done training session just doesn't work long-term. So let's look at a few key metrics that paint the full picture. First, you've got to track engagement. A 94% completion rate? That's awesome. It tells you that people are actually showing up and doing the training. But are they actually learning anything? Well, a 78% knowledge retention rate a few months down the road tells you that yes, the information is actually sticking in their brains. Now here's the really crucial one. Is all this knowledge actually changing how people act on the job? Seeing a 65% improvement in behavior shows that people aren't just memorizing facts, they're applying what they've learned. That's a game changer. And finally, the bottom line. The question everyone wants answered. Does it make the organization safer?
A 23% drop in security incidents proves the return on your investment. It directly connects all that training to a real-world reduction in risk. Each of these numbers is a piece of the puzzle, and together they tell a powerful story.
So we end up right back where we started. Your fancy algorithms, your protected data, your digital walls. At the end of the day, they're all in the hands of the people who use them. Your AI is only as secure as your people. And the only question left for you to answer is, are they ready?